Museum is a place where time does not matter. Looking at the artifacts, we are experiencing the most vivid and exciting moments of history. The program Secrets of Museums with Kamil Galiev is on Kazakh TV channel. Being in the culture destinations worldwide, we will certainly visit any museum because we believe that it is the duty of every educated person. But why don't we often visit our own museums? The museums are not just places where exhibits are preserved, but they're also the library of memories. There are great stories behind every artifact that can help us get to know ourselves and, through the past, to understand the present. This is Secrets of Museums. I'm Kamil Galiev.
Здравствуйте.
The more profession is interesting, the more traditions and rights it has. There are ones in archaeology. For instance, during the excavations, it is not accepted for archaeologists to tell what they're going to find beneath the ground surface. They should not be aimed to find fortune and seek treasures. And the staff of a scientific expedition do not have to think about what kind of honors await for them if they make a great discovery. Otherwise, the burial may take offense and do not reveal its secrets, thus disturbing all the plans. In general, there are a lot of tales. It is difficult to understand what is true and what is false. It is unknown from where this belief emerged. Maybe it's not even a belief, and a tale that was thought up during the excavations. Anyway, archaeologists claim that if anyone finds a cup in the ruins of the ancient Otrar and drink from it water taken from a nearby spring, all his dreams can be fulfilled. And the more undamaged is a fragment from which a person drinks, the higher dreams will come true. And if the vase found in the ruins of the ancient city is unbroken, and you will drink spring water from it, then you can wish for anything you want. Anton Vetashkin and Farid Hasanov were passing the internship as part of the South Kazakhstan Complex Archaeological Expedition organized by the Academy of Sciences of Kazakhstan in 1970. It was the fourth year of excavations. 7 hectares of the upper layers of Otrar ground have been excavated dating from the end of 15th and beginning of the 18th century. Interns did not believe the tales of the ancient archaeologists about an ancient bowl and drinking water from it, knowing, as archaeologists like to make fun of young students. But somewhere deep inside, interns had a hope to find an unbroken vase during the excavations to make the ritual. The first excavations of the ancient Otrar have been launched in 1904. Research expedition staff hoped to dig palaces with countless treasures and uncover the secrets of an ancient civilization. They failed to find palaces and gradually lost interest towards the ancient city. Time passed, and by the end of the 60s of the 20th century, excavations at Otrar started to be conducted with a scientific approach. Even the smallest artifacts brought happiness, because they were all invaluable for science. In the first years of excavations, glass items were often found in the ruins of Otrar. A rich collection of pieces of carafe, cups, glasses, bottles have been found, and there were a lot of jewelry, rings, bronze bracelets, garnet beads, cornelian, and glass. Otrar was one of the largest and most developed cities in Kazakhstan from the 9th to the 17th centuries. The first urban settlement on the site dates back to the 2nd century BC. The ancient city, located at the crossroads of caravan routes of the Great Silk Road, not far from the confluence of Aris River to the Sirdarya River, and covered an area of 2,500 square kilometers. The best goods from around the world have been delivered to this city. Such great philosophers and mathematicians of the East as Al-Abbas ibn Said al-Jahari, Ahmed al-Atrari, and of course Abu Nasr al-Farabi were born in the citadel of civilization. Al-Farabi became famous thanks to his scientific works, commentaries on the works of Aristotle and Plato, as well as the dreams about ideal society, which will be governed by a person who possessed not only political power, but also enormous spiritual power. The ancient city had a precise plan of streets, squares, and neighborhoods. It was impossible to reach the fortress gate only by a drawbridge over the ditch. The presence of a mint, craft quarters, and even water supply with its sewage system in the city indicates a high level of culture in the medieval Kazakhstan. On the territory adjacent to the city, the settlements of artisans and agricultural lands with a magnificent irrigation system were located on hundreds of acres. It was a flourishing garden. There is a version about Otrar Library. According to this idea, a library in Otrar contained thousands of book volumes, from cuneiform tablets and papyrus scrolls to medieval books of European, Arabic, and Chinese world. The traces of the library are lost since the time of the Mongol invasion. Talking about Otrar Library, one cannot forget the legend about a hunter. He chased the fox and saw that it ran into the hole. The hunter decided to get the fox out of hiding and began to make wider the entrance to the burrow. Suddenly, the ground beneath him failed and he turned out to be in the pit stuffed with ancient scrolls. When the hunter told this to his fellow tribesmen and brought people to this place, he could not find any holes or burrows. The hunter was ridiculed by people, but the legend about the scrolls still excite the imagination of antiquity seekers. In 1219, the city was besieged by the Mongol troops, which were led by the eldest son of Genghis Khan, Joly. Dwellers of the city defended their home during 7 months. But according to the legend, betrayer Karagia opened the gates of the city to Mongols. Otrar have been destroyed and its residents have been killed. The town fell into despair, but by the middle of the 13th century, the city once again became a major trading center. The revival of Otrar was the merit of the greatest person in history, Tamerlane. The whole world knows Tamerlane as the founder of the Timurid Empire. The fate of the East and the West depended on his will. People called him a cruel conqueror who didn't know mercy. It was only centuries later people began to realize how bright and extraordinary personality was the ruler, Timur. Strength of character and the ability to govern the minds of the people were revealed in the years of the ascent to the throne of the Emir. When Tamerlane defeated the Khans, he understood that only well-thought tactics would allow him to strengthen his credibility among the people. One of his actions more vividly displays the character of the ruler. When Tamerlane launched the military campaign against Mongolistan, his path ran through the devastated village of the former enemy, the local Khan. After bloody battles, the village was home to only children and the elderly. Hearing that the army was approaching the village, its inhabitants were horrified. They hadn't time to escape and waited for the worst, merciless violence. A desperate woman put in front of the troops an empty cradle and hung a bow as a sign that their race have been devastated and there are no men, successors of the dynasty. Seeing the cradle, the conqueror dismounted at a horse. The next moment, something unexpected happened. He ordered his army to circumvent village away without hurting its inhabitants. Tamerlane correctly conceived the message and decided to have mercy upon the people, and he put the sack of gold in the cradle. Afterwards, the grown-up children of the survived race who had been spared by Tamerlane began to serve him in his troops. Researchers say that not only a memory of childhood but also the desire to glorify himself in the eyes of ordinary people motivated him to make this noble deed. He knew that the rumor about his deeds will spread across the empire and will be handed down to people. Thus, the influence of Timur in the newly established empire was strengthening, due to which he succeeded to conquer the cities such as Isfahan, Urgench, Astrakhan, Delhi, Aleppo, Damascus, and Baghdad. While in Otrar, Tamerlane planned a large campaign in China, but he was not destined to leave the city. In 1405, Timur the Lame died. Many centuries, Otrar was the scene of clashes between the rulers of the Golden Horde and Tamerlane, then the Kazakh and Central Asian Khanates. These followed a prolonged period of revolutions, which resulted in the economic decline of the area and its towns in the 15th century. As the Eurasian army of the Silk Road gradually lost its importance, so did the city. Gradually, by the 18th century, the last residents of the city left, once the blossoming oasis. It was 1974. Anton Vetashkin and Farid Hasanov had an internship as part of the South Kazakhstan archaeological expedition. Yet, they had to excavate the palace of the ruler of the 7th century, the main mosque, the fortified walls, the citadel, the central square with a well, a bathhouse, potteries. In the meantime, excavations were underway along the western wall of the city. The excavation works were well underway. They were using delicate tools because every year, clod of earth may conceal a significant artifact. When the neck of a glass vessel appeared, Anton had no idea what this discovery would turn into. Solid items are found less frequently here. Fragments are found more often. So when Vetashkin dug out the vessel body and saw that it was undamaged, delicately made vase, he realized that they were lucky. Such findings had to be immediately delivered to the headquarters, where they were classified and prepared for shipment to the laboratory.
Смотри, что нашел.
Отличная находка, товарищ Ветушкин.
Как думаешь, что будем с ней делать?
Ну, вообще, здорово было бы в штаб отнести.
But Anton Vetashkin and Farid Hasanov decided to wait a little bit and went with the vase to their tent. Anton saw Farid holding another finding. It was a piece of a human skull. In the first years of excavations of ancient Otrar, human remains that were found were sent to a laboratory for examination. But then so many remains have been found by the archaeologists that it was decided to bury the ashes near the settlement. During the burial, the locals made the Muslim rite. Despite the fact that the country was dominated by atheism, no one interfered in this. The interns decided to have some fun and put an end to the story about drinking water from the ancient vessel. They poured a little water in the vase and with clay, which was felt in the teeth, and made a few sips. But then Anton saw Farid pouring water into this human skull. He explained that he wanted to feel himself as a conqueror, like the ancient ruler who drinks wine from the skull of a defeated enemy. This improvised rite looked barbaric, and Anton refused to do the same. Having finished their fun, the students went back to work. Following events didn't take too long to wait. The next morning, Farid, during the excavations, fell into an underground cavity. While falling, he broke his leg, and he was delivered to the city. They say that this bone fracture put an end not only to his participation in the expedition, but also to his further career. He did not become an archaeologist. He would not like to believe prejudices, but people said, as if the spirits of the ancient residents of Otrar revenged for the desecration of their remains. As for Anton, who drank water from an ancient vase, the same year in 1974, he found in the ruins of Otrar treasure with jewelry and silver coins. Afterwards, Anton Veteshkin defended his thesis, participated in expeditions on the identification of new settlements in the Sirdarya, and contributed to the development of advanced scientific fields. Of course, Veteshkin didn't call anyone to drink from ancient vessels and always keeps saying that one can afford it only once in his life, in his early youth. This story is instructive, proving once again that during the excavations, a person must not behave rashly and do things that are contrary to professional ethics. We must take care of the findings and particularly have respect for human remains. And tell this story to new interns in order to discourage them from hunting for such kind of experiments. In 2001, an international project under the auspices of UNESCO on the conservation and preservation of the ancient city was launched in Otrar. Otrar Oasis has turned into a historical and cultural reserve. There are fewer curious tourists, and silence reigned in the city, which the residents of the city deserved. Reveal the secrets of museums with me, Kamil Galiyev. See you.